Hi, I'm Markus Patton, the cat who draws, and this is Devin, who is about to
De-
introduce himself.
Nice to meet you, everybody. I'm Devin Arscott. As many people know, I am the friendliest guy in comics on Twitter, at least as far as I'm concerned. I'm the writer of The Gateway, and this is Marcus and I's first project together, and we're happy to bring such an awesome comic to everybody out there.
We are happy. I couldn't agree more. So basically, what's happening with this video is like I'm going to be doing some speed paints over the top of this, while also having a discussion with Devin about the comic and how he came to comic stuff. Because I think it'd be interesting for everyone to hear and stuff. Yeah, cool. So I guess the first question I have for you, Devin, is what made you realize you could write a comic? Because like most people see cars and then go, "Well, I could be a mechanic." What made you thought all your comics go, I can do that?
So, growing up, I grew up in a household full of talent. I got folks that can do sports, that can write, draw, all of that. Well, I discovered my knack for writing at a very young age. Comic books are a big part of my life. I've been reading since 4 years old. I'm 26 now. And just a couple of years ago, I decided, like, all right, well, seeing as my original career path didn't really work, what happens if I would try comics? How would that work? So I dipped in. So I got into it, started being real pervasive and just working hard on it. And now, I get a lot of editing and writing jobs in the comics community.
What was your original career path?
I was originally going to become a psychologist. I was going to school for it, but unfortunately, I had an event that kind of brought that to a stop, and I wasn't really motivated to go back to that.
Fair, fair. Cool. I don't know if fair, cool is a correct response to that. I'm sorry, man.
No, no, it's all good.
Cool. What inspired the Gateway?
So the Gateway was inspired by a few things. I like a lot of sci-fi esque musings. So stuff on television, movies, all of that. I had actually recently finished the comic book Black Science around the time that I had started writing the Gateway. I was like, well, what would um, things look like over here, like in a regular setting, and you throw a big sci-fi mix into it? So I got to writing, and I wrote for a solid month, I believe, and I pushed out 42 pages. Originally, it was going to be 60 pages, but I was tired after that month, and I was like, 42 pages was cool, threw it to the side, and then from there, I started polishing it real well. It took me about 2 weeks to fully edit the project, and then from there, it just kind of sat. I didn't really know what was going to happen with it. So the gateway was pretty much in a gateway of its own by being sucked into the void of shelving.
What is the question? That's why is it 42 pages long? I mean, I guess why did you what what came? Why did you shelve it? For I guess would be the next question. Was it is it like was it your first thing that you'd written or like in or was it like kind of like yeah? That's two questions there. So, why did you show it for step? And was it like how far along in your writing career was it? Was it like the first major thing you did, or like the 17th, or you know?
So in terms of why it was shelved, just cost. Cost was ridiculous. I was trying to find artists that I could write with. Well, not write with, but work with. And it was just cost was a bitch. And then going off of, let's see, I think I had about two major projects under my belt, both of which are currently unreleased, and then a swath of editing jobs after that around the same time that I was still penning the book. Um, it just really came down to cost. I was really um, into my other work, Magni the Mighty, and I was just trying to chug along and like finish it because I didn't want to suffer from burnout and then not do any more comic work. and it's just I loved it. I love The Gateway. It's a great book. It's the longest book I ever wrote at the time before now, and it's just like it had to be shelved because cost, and my other projects were a lot cheaper to put together than this.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, yeah, I like The Gateway too. Um, so I guess right, given the fact that how long ago did you write it, by the way?
Um, I finished writing The Gateway. Let's see, it is currently September. So I finished The Gateway writing in 2020. I believe it was right before Christmas. I had finished it, and then I took the 2 days for Christmas Eve and Christmas off, and then started the editing process, which took me into the new year. And I finished editing the script around the time that well, about the 15th of January, to be correct, because I remember exactly where I was around that time.
Oh, so it's only like 9 months old.
Yeah, it's not very old,
I
but
was under the impression that it was like you wrote it like a few years ago or whatever. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess that would make.
you'd be surprised.
I guess in that case, my next question: what would you change with the benefit of hindsight and age? But like, if it's only like 2 minutes old, then I don't know how you would answer that one. Given the fact that you've had like 9 months and stuff, and you've seen me draw it and stuff, is there anything? Oh shit, I don't dig that, or I would have changed that, or is there anything you know? Yeah, I suppose that's.
There's nothing that I would outright change, just because the way that I wrote it, it was just stellar in my mind. And seeing it now that you've drawn it, I I really love it. It's pretty much everything I wanted of it, or actually more than that. When I saw your art placed, you know, with the project, and then now seeing letters on it,
Yeah.
that's just lovely. I will say there's probably a set of dialogue towards the end that I might change. I'm gonna have to go back and look exactly where, because thinking about it, it's kind of mean, and I want to change it because like I'm not an inherently mean guy.
That one I mentioned.
Yes, it was. I did look at it, and I just never thought about it, or got around to changing it. But I'm hoping I can catch Isaac before he, gets to that page.
I am similar. Yeah. But, I mean, and also like I've not drawn it that way anyway, so like so yeah. I mean, yeah, cool. Uh, yeah, no, there's no segue from what I'm saying next. So yeah, I guess so yeah, what lessons would have you learned from writing The Gateway that so I always learn something when I'm drawing and stuff. So like like, oh, I should do that differently, or don't do that, or no. Yeah, so what lessons have you learned from this project? The first.
So, just off the premise of writing it, don't if I encourage anyone that wants to do their own project, please, please, please do not do something super long like this, because your brain will hurt, for one.
Yeah.
Because I was just fatigued, and I had no desire to do another project that long. For two, uh, please remember to edit while you go through the motions of writing it, because if you start doing a couple self edits per batch, you will find that it's a lot faster to edit your work that way. I learned that just off the premise of writing The Gateway the first time, and then my subsequent editing stuff from that point. Batch editing is important, so if you do it in batches of 2, 4, 5, whatever, batch edit your work. Make sure dialogue, page, all that stuff is good, so that way you can keep going. That way your job is a lot easier later, and it makes artist jobs, letterer jobs, colors, everyone else later on during the grand scheme of things, their work a lot easier.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind.
That's some good advice, because essentially, like, I guess if you were to not batch edit as you go along, you're kind of going back over it, and you're increasing your workload again. It's like, to get so far down the line and go, oh, I've got to go back. It's kind of, I don't want to go back. It's kind of like, because like, yeah, that's good advice for everybody. Don't,